Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. So, from Steve here, where will speaker design go in the next 10 to 20 years? My reaction to that.
Hi, my name is Steve Guttenberg and I am the Audiophiliac, and I want to talk about the future of speaker design. We've had box speakers, we have panel speakers, electrostatic and magneplanar type. We've had horn speakers, and they're amazing and they can be incredibly good, except they never really take us all the way there. They never sound 100% realistic, as if the band was really right there, right in front of you.
Totally disagree. Totally disagree. This is a guy who usually reviews JBL clip speakers, all of those normal American speakers, and they sound good within a certain limit. But as far as I know, looking at many of his videos and looking at his top speaker countdown, it doesn't seem like he's listened to Kondo speakers. He hasn't listened to Karma, Verity speakers. He hasn't listened to Peak Consult speakers, Martin Design speakers. Did I mention Audio Note? Yeah. I mean, all the good speakers, he hasn't listened to those. So this is an invalid um, response for him. I have to disagree quite strongly, quite strongly.
Playing, or you were in the room where they were playing. That
And I also have to say that people like Paul from PS Audio, they also say the same thing. It's never going to be as good as the real thing. Nope, that's because you're using either your own speaker, or you're using B&W speaker or Martin Logan speakers, or whatever you consider top speaker. If you're listening to an audio note speaker under good conditions with a proper audio note setup, you will consider that better than actually being there. Trust me.
that just doesn't happen. We get close. You're sort of in the
No,
ballpark, but you're not really 100% there. What is it going to take to get us?
I have to say I totally disagree. And I just want to say that you might find this very interesting indeed, because my friend who has a Monitor Audio PL300 model, that's not a particularly good speaker, but he has probably the best streamer in the world. That sound from that speaker, that's only like below mid level, is basically the best ever sound I almost have heard in my life, trumping speakers that cost a lot more that actually are a lot better. The difference is that the source material is so damn good. You can hear not just everything that goes on the stage, behind the stage, but you can hear exactly how they are singing, where you can picture exactly where they are on the stage, how deep it is, how many meters there is from the artist to the guy who's playing the bass to the guy who's playing the drums. You can hear the sound stage width, the platform that they're on, how wide it is, and you have all this information basically available on speakers that he has, and some other speakers, when you have these incredibly good sound conditions. But he hasn't heard it. I guarantee you he hasn't heard that level of sound that I've heard.
All the way there. And it's not a box or a panel or a horn speaker. That's not what's going to happen. I think
I totally disagree. Hornspeak is also extremely alive, and they give you a very live experience. And some people say that they're probably the closest experience to really being there, and fully getting that energy unloaded and getting the drama, the excitement, the color, and everything, the real instruments fully releasing. And I feel that in one way they are right with that, but integration, playing different types of music. There's a lot of different genres of music you can't really play on a lot of horn speakers. It doesn't work with a lot of gear, except if it's special gear intended for that particular speaker. There's a lot of problems with horn speakers. They're big, they're ugly, they cost a lot if they have to be really good usually. So there's a huge amount of potential, and we know that from one of my previous videos that that Audionaut guy Peter Quartorp, he's developing a field coil speaker, and that might even beat the world's best speaker, Audionaut E, which I consider the best speaker in the world. It's about 18 models there in that range, but I feel that he's wrong.
The future of speaker design is none of those things, and I think it's using the surfaces of the...
I also have to say that all of these electrostat speakers are very much behind giving the entire sound. They do a lot of impressive stuff where isolated parts of the detail are extremely good, but I feel that a lot of them just can't really do integration, bass, and throwing out the sound so you can be anywhere in the room, and a lot of other stuff. So yeah, I don't entirely agree with them.
The walls in your room, the ceiling, and the floor. That's where it is. That's where it's going to happen. So maybe for the walls, it's literally the speaker is painted onto the wall with some sort of membrane, or also the same thing on the ceiling. Maybe the walls could have wallpaper that would have this sound producing material in it. But we also need the floor. We need the rugs in your room, the carpeting, the bare floors, whatever. They all need to produce sound to create this 100% total environment.
Don't entirely agree. My friend who has those monitor audio speakers, which aren't really that amazing. I mean, when you set them up in the way that he has, then they sound damn amazing, outperforming most things in the world. But I remember being at his place and listening to some speakers that are a bit bigger than these, and yeah, probably a bit better built. I remember listening to the bass, and you could not hear where it was coming from because you were like almost inside the music, and the music was inside your head, and you just went all over the place trying to feel where's the bass coming from. It was so intelligent that you couldn't really place it exactly where it came from. It was just so deep. You almost were kind of overwhelmed and confused in a way. And then other times you could just hear completely, like, it's over here, it's over there, this is how it is exactly. And I feel that Steve hasn't listened to this type of music yet. So I think one day I might even invite him over to my friend's place and then hear what he has to say about that.
For sound. So one of the great benefits of this idea is that people don't have to deal with big ugly boxes in their rooms, or even beautiful boxes in their rooms. The speaker system of this imagined future is 100% invisible to the people in the room, and yet it can create a total environment. Of course, to make this fantasy really come true, you would need recordings that were made that can take full advantage of that, but I imagine that old-fashioned stereo recordings or multi-channel recordings could also be used. And also part of my imagined future is that there would be digital signal processing that would direct the sound to create a stereo image, or actually a full dimensional image through the whole room. And it would also be intelligent, and it would know where the humans are in that room, person or people in that room, and then direct the sound.
We already have that, it's called DSP, and it doesn't sound good, because the thing is, DSP fools a lot of people. It solves problems at a lower level. So yeah, at a certain level, it's pretty cool. It does a lot of cool stuff. and it's really good at compensating, but it doesn't come near the real sound, from two channel, from a proper set of closed speakers that are set up optimally on really good gear. It doesn't really come close to that. I've heard DSP on most levels, and yeah, it doesn't get close.
To sound correct for their positions in the room. So that's my fantasy. That's my future hope.
But yeah, when it sounds correct and all that, it's usually on the expense of music fully releasing, fully being natural, having that natural what do you call it, timbre, instruments sounding natural and extended, human emotion not being suppressed. It just doesn't really exist. As soon as you filter stuff too much, and you try to do something that's a bit too smart, it usually goes wrong in some kind of a way.
For speaker design, not soon, probably 10, 20 years, but some version of what I've described I think is inevitable. I think some version of what I just described here is what you're going to have if you're young enough to live that long, to have in your house or apartment. Of course, I could be totally wrong. But anyway, I would like to hear, excuse me, what you think the future of speaker design is and how that will evolve. Please leave a comment. I've written a blog on CNET about this very subject, and I will link to that on the YouTube page.
I believe we're already there, almost as far as we can take the sound. I don't feel that there's much more to gain. I feel that the all the technology is present. It's just a question of being patient, using a lot of money to find the proper combination in the proper room. I've heard it at two friends' places that have two different systems. One guy has top audio note gear, and the other guy has this Yamaha monitor audio combination here. And those are two top sounds in two totally different directions, totally different priorities, and both of those sounds are extremely good. Extremely good. I mean, I believe that we're basically there. We've reached the end of what's possible. I mean, I constantly try new stuff and the sound gets better and better, but I have a hard time imagining it can get better. I mean, I know we're going to have some more smart batteries that we can connect to our power supplies. I know we're probably at some point going to jump off the power grid in order to improve the whole sound experience. I know that carbon technology slowly getting into HIFI, where we're producing carbon cables, carbon caps, stuff like that. I know that's gonna, make sound a lot more natural and create a black level that is much better than what we have right now. I know that once we all get this level of streaming sound that one of my friends has, the guy with the Yamaha receiver and the monitor audio speaker, once we all own that as a standard, I think we're all going to be pretty much satisfied, feeling that this is it, that the only thing that's left to discover is just using different cables, different plugs to guide the sound in a certain priority. So you could like mask the guitar in the foreground, or you could like highlight the drummer depending on what cable and plug combination you would use, or you could like create a soundstage that is a lot deeper and a lot more black, but then certain elements won't quite be there. and or you could put a totally different cable on, and it would just be a lot more intense with a lot more bite and edge. But perhaps this or that instrument wouldn't quite be as good. I'm hearing that every day when I'm talking with my friend over the phone, and I'm listening to him and him going to this insane world of sound that no one has really entered before with normal gear. I believe we're basically there at the end destination. It's just a question of everybody not using all the gear in the world at 5 to 10 or 20% of what it's able to do, but actually going all the way up to 50% of its potential, and getting close to 100% of what the gear actually can do. I believe that it is just a question of raising our gear, our current gear, to the highest potential. And we don't need better speakers. We don't need better amplifiers. We don't need this and that. It has already been made. It's already produced. It's on planet Earth. And yes, a new and better speaker and amplifier in the future will of course get us to a better sound, but we also have to think, is that really worth it? Because we're going to have to invest a hell of a lot more money into that, and we're probably still at that point only going to use, most of us are going to use 5, 10, maybe 20% of the full potential of our sound. I could be wrong. If you want to tell me I'm wrong, or you've got another idea of what's to come for the next 10 or 20 years, just write it in the comments, and we'll have to see. It could be that you're right and I'm wrong. I just feel that we've already arrived at the destination. We just need to use the full potential of our gear. I'd like to hear you, what you think in the comments. Have a nice day. Bye.